Yo, what's going on? It is the NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your boy, Kuya P, aka patrick.strange, the Adobro, the Babinka boy, the leader of the Hala Hala homies in the center gang of the ShoPowSho. And we are back again for 2022. I think this is our third episode recording for the year. I'm so excited. This is our year. We're going to kill it. I feel it. The energy is in the air. There's a vibe. We're just going to keep this flow going and make it happen despite what's going on in the world. So if you're watching this, I'm going to give you all the energy, the vibes through the screen. All right, let's make it our year. And for the first show of 2022, I finally got my amazing ates. Although we're -1, all the love to Kataphorric over there in Japan. We love you. But I got Miss Viva Valentina. Tina, what's good?
What's up, Patrick? I'm happy to be back.
Right? I've missed you.
It's been a year.
Yes, but you've been putting in work, and you know that's all good. And as I stated to everybody, man, the Stuffy Spa, you're killing it. You're bringing back to life everybody's favorite, loved plushies, and so that's just beautiful. So much love and respect on that.
Thank you.
I know the world is feeling you on that, and you got the love. You're getting the news, the press all over the place. So shout out on that. I know work is a little bit too much because of the press, but hey, like I said, they know you. You know what I'm saying?
Good problems, good to have.
Good problems. Good problems. All right, so we got another hot one. I'm super excited for today. I first met this lovely actor on the Conjuring. We were doing a press junket for that. I don't really, I'm all right with scary movies, but then, sometimes, it can be a little much, and I'm getting older. I got a little one, so I don't need that kind of drama. But then if I'm an actor, I'm acting it, that's one thing, but that I don't need the jump scares to mess me up when I also got other stuff going on. I don't know how you feel about horror movies, Tina, but
I'm just into horror, and I actually, me and my husband just watched all of the Conjuring films, and I think that's like the level of horror that I'm comfortable with. Like anything more gory or anything more like suspenseful is like too much anxiety going on. But
Word?
The Conjuring films, those are the happy medium kind of horror.
Okay.
That I like.
Well, you know what? What's crazy is like the gore stuff. I can deal with that because I know it's fake. Like I can take that over. To me, Conjuring stuff, the stuff that seemed very real, that could actually be going down.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That scares me, other than the gore stuff. So I'll take that. But anyway, I met this amazing young talent who's killing it. She's been building her career ever since then. She's been on the Tomorrow War. And, I had this, let me bring her. She's had Tomorrow War. She was on Suicide Squad. I'm excited to see her again. Let's bring her on right now. I'm going to shoot off my air horns so I don't deafen her. There she is, Andrea Andrade. What's good, Andrea? You can unmute. Welcome back. So excited to see you again. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you
all
for
the love.
having.
Definitely. Yo, so how you been since the last time we talked? I know we're in crazy pandemic times, but, we're slowly working ourselves out of it. How's everything been?
It's been good. I mean, as you probably saw on my Instagram, I've been taking the dogs out and about, and we've been pretty lucky where I'm in Georgia at the moment. So I can still kind of get out and about and go hiking and do things without kind of being around a bunch of people, which is great. But I mean, other than that, it's been really good. It's been nice. Auditions have been back and crazy. Things are nuts. So, and that's all I can ask for. We got some things coming up. So,
hey. I love it. And you've been giving me life. And actually, it's been motivating me to just like get out the house because of your posts. I'm a dog father and dog family. So we like to get out, take the dog on walks. And so I get reminded when I see you doing that. And I think it's so cute. And also just auditioning now in the world as actors through Zoom and just sending in tapes. It's like a whole new way of life now as actors, which I don't know about you. It's in a way I kind of dig it a lot more than, going into studio sometimes. But we can talk on that when we get into more of that conversation. But I enjoy some of your posts on TikTok and IG that it's so relatable. So I love it. So welcome back. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Miss Viva Valentina for our first question out the gate. Go ahead, Tina.
So here at the ShoPowSho, we always like to start with asking, where are you from? But like where are you really from? And like, where are your parents from?
Okay. So where I'm from is I grew up was born in Texas, actually in Tyler, Texas. Sorry. It's near Greenville, Texas. Then I moved to Greenville, Mississippi, where I pretty much grew up from like 3 to 18. And then I moved out to New Orleans. Now I'm in Atlanta. My mom is born and raised in the Philippines, but she was only there till about 8 or 9. And she was born in Olongapo City, if I'm saying that right.
Okay. Yeah.
I get the words all mixed up. And then my father was born in the States too, in Texas, but we're estranged. So I don't know everything about him except for my Spanish side is from him. So I'm Filipino and Spanish.
Nice.
Awesome. So I like to, we like to play with that question, and why Tina leads with that, because that's kind of what we get as mixed kids, as Pinoys, when you look different, right? So we like to lead to play off of that and just kind of just see how ridiculous it is, because we're also not a monolith, you know. We all have our different ways of coming up. And so to tag off of Tina's question, I love to, before we get into your story, I like to show love and respect to those that came before. You know, we wouldn't be here if not for their journeys. So I don't know how far you want to dig, but if you can tell us maybe a little bit about maybe how your parents met. I know they're estranged, or the ancestors, just anybody that came before, to show them love and light before we start on your journey.
Yeah, so my grandmother met my grandfather, who passed away years ago now. Miss him dearly, but he was in the Navy. So I think that's a classic. My grandmother met him, Navy, and they came over and they moved to Florida. I think the Navy base he was at was in Florida. So my grandmother, brought everyone over here, as in my aunt, my 3 aunts, my uncle. And then my mom and my dad met when she was in her 20s. She was in the Army Reserve. I can't remember if she told me if they met like during that time or like a little bit after, but I know she only did the Army Reserve for about 2 years, but they met in between that time. And then they were in Texas, and then they got married and had me.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, my grandmother's story is the classic, Navy guy, and they were married. I mean, geez, I want to say up until he passed away, it was 40 plus years, 30 plus. So it was a long time.
Got you. So that was interesting. I thought there was going to go. So the traditional route was your grandmother, right? But your mother was stationed in the Philippines?
Oh, no, sorry. My mother was born in the Philippines.
Okay.
My grandfather met my grandmother there when he was stationed in the Philippines.
Okay, I got you.
In the Navy, yes.
All right. And then how they met, was in the Philippines or here?
He met her, yes. My grandmother met her in the Philippines, and then they just got married, or they married and moved to Florida. Yes. Okay. That's where he got restationed.
Got you. Okay. So tell me about
the military.
I know.
All the military kids right here.
But also, yeah, my aunts and my uncle, they all did the military too, because that's how they think we're told to do and come up. So
well, welcome to the military kid family. That's us, Tina. Yeah. So, and we also call ourselves the Mixed Kid Mafia, because we're all mixed kids. So welcome to the Mixed Kid Mafia, Andrea. I love it. All right. So you're born in Texas. Tell me about growing up in Texas. I was only there. How that was like.
I was only there for 2 years, literally from birth to 2. So I don't remember much.
All right.
Because my mom and my dad divorced.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was 2. So then she moved me to Mississippi, back to like where my grandfather and my grandmother were living at the time. Okay. And that's pretty much where I grew up, was 2 to 18 was Mississippi.
All right. So let me know Mississippi. Where exactly in Mississippi?
So for the most part, I lived in Greenville, Mississippi. It's the Delta. There's not.
I was actually to Gulfport, because I lived in Gulfport for like a year.
Oh yeah. Well, my boyfriend lives in Gulfport. He's from there. So I go there often now. Yeah. And before, when we were growing up, like I lived in, it's about 2 hours northwest of Jackson, Mississippi, was Greenville, Mississippi, but we'd always go down to the coast, Gulfport, Biloxi, Florida, all that stuff. So I did all the coast when I was younger too.
All right. So life in Mississippi, that Cajun lifestyle, that football is everything. Tell me about what you were into and just that aspect of your time growing up.
Yeah, so I grew up in a predominantly, white area, which is fine. But and there wasn't many Filipinos. I don't think I knew any Filipinos besides like the women that would come over with my mom. They were nurses.
Mm-hmm.
They had the classic.
The traditional.
Some of the Filipinos were nurses, so they were friends. I was the only Filipino, maybe not Spanish, but Filipino for sure, Filipino Spanish kid in school. But it was a good time. I definitely grew up Southern. I mean, I'm Southern AF. I don't want to cuss if I can, but I am very Southern. So like fried chicken, hot sauce, hunting, even though I don't really like to hunt, but I'll eat it.
Do you have monogrammed towels?
We did. Oh my goodness. It was the best. It was like we thought we were so cool. Monogrammed everything with your like middle name and like the circle, however it did.
Yes, yeah.
It was nuts. And and it was the Delta was kind of, it's definitely more, it's not city, per se. It's like very rural. And I grew up next to like some corn fields and there were horses over there and cows, kind of very farm. But yeah, it was a good time. 4-wheeler riding, bonfires,
I feel that. All right. Yeah. No, I feel that. But I have to ask though. So you look very ethnic. And like you said, you're in a very predominantly white area. So like when I lived there, I was in Gulfport. I had to like find my tribe. You know what I'm saying? I was, my father's white, my mom's Filipino. But I'm obviously who I am. And, it is the South. So you get treated a certain way and in those aspects. And in Gulfport, it was predominantly African-American. So I really didn't have too much trouble, but it was then when I went to the outskirts that I saw and had issues. But, unless, people had beef, then, and I wasn't trying to start no beef. It is what it was. So I'm curious how that was for you growing up as a young kid. Were you ever treated any differently? Did you question that from your parents, or just if you can tell me any of those aspects of life growing up?
Yeah, one of the things that always stick out was when I was younger. I think I was kindergarten, first grade, and I was in a public school, but it was predominantly white. And then there were probably, I want to say maybe 5 to 10%, black, white, then me, a little bit of Spanish than me. But I remember when one of the kids, when we were little, just doesn't mean, when you're a kid, you're just asking questions. Asked me, is like, why are you brown? And that was like my first existential crisis of like, wait, why am I? Like, I didn't know any different, I didn't know anything, but that was the first time that I remember like kind of internalizing myself that I was different, like where I guess it really hit me. And this wasn't anything like, I didn't take offense. I just really started questioning. I was like, wait, why am I? And then like in my head asking, why are things different? And like, I feel like at that age from 5 to 8 to 9 wasn't necessarily like bad. And it wasn't too bad as I got older, but you definitely felt it more just of like when I was, when 9/11 hit, this is going to be a little serious, but when 9/11 hit, the ignorance of some people of kids, they were like, oh, well, she did it because, because I looked like brown and different. And I was like, what? I didn't do any. I was like, no. And then, obviously the teacher was like, that's disrespectful. You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. All this kind of stuff. I think I was 13, I want to say 12, 13, 14. I can't remember the exact age at the moment, but it was like that was probably the worst I ever, I guess, kind of got it like in your face, like really blatantly bad, and just an ignorant kid, didn't know any better. But yeah, like those things, you just kind of knew, like it was like, okay, wow, people, it just kept, every time that hit was like, oh, people really do see you differently because of your skin color. They know nothing about you, and it's not even the right race or ethnicity. I'm like, okay. But yeah, that was probably the worst that I like felt at a young age. How did you deal with
it? Did you go home and talk to your mom? What kind of conversations were had?
I'm more more of a person that kind of internalizes things. But I did talk to my mom, and of course my mom's she's very strong, Filipino woman, just only like 4'11", maybe not even, maybe 4'10", maybe 4'10", just, and I'm not that tall either, but just like, you ignore those people, they don't know any better. And she would always like, they weren't brought up correctly. You have to take a step back. And she's like, did you say anything? I was like, well, no, I was kind of stunned, and I'm not necessarily confrontational. I didn't really know how to do it except for ignore and just be like, well, I'm not going to make this worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, my mom just talked me through it. And I think I just started to develop like thicker skin from that, and just things like, okay, you don't know any better. And I didn't know how necessarily word to correct someone at that age, but, teacher was getting on to him and things like that. But now it's like, I would obviously speak up for myself. But back then, it was definitely just kind of like being different, was having that realization and not wanting to bring attention to it was probably a lonely feeling too. Like I remember feeling like I don't really know who to talk to about this, and try to act everything's great, but
No, that's I'm thank you for bringing this up, because we all go through it, and we all handle it in different ways. And I think it's so very important for the people that are watching this to know that it doesn't matter, it's still going on. Racism still exists, and people try to ignore it, but it happens. So to kind of coincide with that, when did you realize you were Filipino? Like, so your mom's Filipino, and again, no one really thought or whatever, but just learning that you were just, you had this element about you. We're all human beings, we're all people. But when did you find out that, oh my gosh, I have this culture, and what is this? Like a lot of people, I think for like us Philams, right? Because we grew up here in the States, we get kind of a different food that's made that other people don't exactly get made. And they're like, oh my gosh, I have this rice.
Everyone loves it.
How was like coming into knowing that you were that, and elements of our culture that you loved or maybe even despised? Because I also bring up the film The Debut. I don't know if you've ever seen it, with shout out to my boy Dante Bosco, where his character in the film, very Filipino, but he brought over some white friends, and he had like the fork and spoon on the wall. That's very traditional of Filipinos, right? And then they had like the barrel man on a mantle, which is Filipino. And then the smell of patis, that fish smell. Yeah. So he was very, he was embarrassed by it, right? So did you ever experience that? And I know that's a lot of questions. When I told myself, and I told Tina I was going to stop piling questions all at the same time, but it's just that Filipino-ness aspect that I'm curious about with you.
Yeah, and if you ever just bring it back, if I also go off track too, because I do that. I am my mother's daughter. I do go everywhere. But I think, I don't know if you were the same way, but growing up, like when I'm younger, from like baby to 5, 6, 7, it's like, this is normal. I'm always around my family. I didn't really notice it until I went to school, obviously, because there's Filipino food. My grandmother obviously brought more of like the food aspect, and would tell us like the ghost stories and things like that.
That's cool.
The Filipino culture, my mom and like my aunt and my uncles, like we didn't really speak, nobody spoke Tagalog. I think because they all left when they were about 8 to 12. I guess they didn't, growing up on their own, they decided not to. They became a little more Americanized. I don't really know why they didn't continue to speak, but my grandmother would speak it every now and then. And of course we learned, cuss words and stuff and things that, that were fun to us. And my grandmother, though, it was just her kind of, I feel like the main person bringing the culture back, at least food wise. And we weren't always around her, but so all that to say, like at that time when I was that little, I didn't, this is normal to me. I didn't know being Filipino was different or anything until I got to school, where things were like the wiry brown. And then, because it's like, I knew I was Filipino, but I didn't know the weight to it, that I was different, that I looked different, that people weren't going to expect to see someone like me. So that's, and like, again, that stuff at that little, it didn't necessarily hit me that hard. It was a little bit older. I don't know. I don't think I was ever really embarrassed. It was just more of like, I think I got more of a kick about when my friends would come over and my mom would cook, that they didn't know what like pancit is or lumpia. And of course they would call it things like egg rolls. I'm like, that's not it. I'm
yeah,
like,
it's different.
it's lumpia, like if anything, because I need you to differentiate this one thing. But and then of course my mom, this is not embarrassing. This is the funniest thing. Like all my friends, boyfriend now, like it will never go away. My mother will always have rice with any meal. There will always be rice at every, doesn't even make any sense, but there will be rice. And it's like whenever I go home to visit, I'm like dead ass go to the rice cooker. I'm like, you got it. Like, I mean, I think I'm turning into her. I make rice with everything now too. Like, okay, whatever, I'll carry that on. But I don't think I was ever too embarrassed about being Filipino, because at least not at like the expense of my family and things that we did or people came over. I think I more so just liked it that because we were a little different, and it probably helped that my friends loved the food. Now, if someone probably would have said something negative or mean about us, it probably would have, affected me, I guess. But I grew up luckily with nice friends, at least, that knew not to.
Awesome. That's a blessing.
Yeah. So.
That's a blessing. I love that. Okay, cool. Good. Because, we've all gone, there's different people, we've had so many people on and we've gone through it. But another interesting aspect of as well for you is you're also Mexican, and having that aspect of culture, having all these different, vibes in you.
Is it Mexican or is it Spanish?
Yeah. So it's Mexican and Spanish. It's like I'm a little super mutt apparently. Like I looked at, because I did the ancestry in me, and I knew I was a lot of Filipino. I'm about 52% if I can remember. It's over 50, like Filipino, and then it's Indigenous American, Spanish European, and then the Mexican American is kind of like, I think, from the indigenous. They don't break it down completely, I guess, where. And then I just have a few more little random things that are just like 2 or 3%, but mainly Filipino and Spanish. So it's like, okay. And Mexican, and like, I want to find out the Indigenous American, like Native American. Yeah. Being Mexico, I wonder if it's like Mayan or like things like that. I think I need to pay someone to figure even more out, but yeah, I'm interested in that side too. But I still have so much to learn with, being Filipino, because I guess the unfortunate thing is that my mom, I don't want to say it's unfortunate, but she herself didn't, grow up in the Philippines such a long time to bring like Tagalog over, I guess would have been really cool. And then my aunts and my uncles were just kind of spread out. So it's like, we'd see each other, but it was, maybe handful times a year, and it wasn't necessarily someone there to teach me that. But again, I don't want to like blame them for anything, because my mom I'm Americanized too, like Texas and Southern, you wouldn't think it, but yeah, I think that's the only thing that I would have liked to have a little more of. Like, and if my grandmother didn't live further away, we lived about 4 hours away from each other. It wasn't bad, but we only saw her like summer times and like holidays. But that would have been cool to have a little more of the Tagalog and not just like the cuss words, and which I mean is whatever. No one would know what we were saying, but
that's cool. That's interesting too, because and it makes sense that there's so much Spanish in you too, because whether it be from like Mexican colonization or Filipino colonization, it's all Spanish.
Yeah.
So, like that, it makes a lot of sense. It'd be cool to like look at that and see what it breaks down to. But also I feel you on your mom leaving the Philippines when she was so young. My mother left the Philippines when she was 13, and although like I grew up with her like talking Tagalog a mile a minute on the phone because my grandparents were still over there for a while. It's still that reminded me of like, oh yeah, my mom she grew up in the Philippines, but then she didn't totally grow up. She grew up half in the US as well. Yeah. So I feel you on that. Like and then it's cool to see like just the different parts of the culture that stick with you when you leave the country that young.
Yeah. And it was definitely food for her.
Yeah.
Speaking of you saying that your mom, I remember my grandmother on the phone all the time when we go to her house, speaking to like the cousins that are still there. And like, yeah, she would just, my grandmother, and I'm pretty sure she was probably talking to us sometimes and that getting on to us as kids running around the house. We were just like, I don't know what you're saying, but
then you
say it freely. Yeah.
And you're like, wait.
I'm pretty sure she dropped a word in there, but okay. But yeah, it's funny because my grandmother did that. And then my mom, you know, she didn't really, I think I heard her a few times with my grandmother speak Tagalog, but I think for her, she was just more like, if we cannot do this all the time and be like, yeah, I want to do my own thing as a mom and blah, blah, blah. But my grandmother,
like, opo, mama, opo.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. She would just speak like very few, like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh man. Well, also diving into your childhood, what kinds of things were you into when you were younger that, I don't know, maybe some early on interests that led into what you do now? Were you always into acting? What were you like when you were younger?
I think that I always wanted to perform. Because, you know, I also grew up in the time of Britney Spears and Christina. And I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be a singer and stuff. So I always wanted to perform. But I think we used to do this silly thing, my cousins and me and my little sister was a little too young. We used her just as, anyway. So what we used to do, I was like, wait, that won't make any sense. Let me just go back. But what we used to do is my cousin and I would make like the funny news. We'd get, you know, remember the big cameras that are like as heavy as you, like sit it there. And then me and him would be news anchors. And then we'd have my younger cousin do like the weather, who she's like 3 years. Yeah, she was 3 or 4 years younger. And then that was my little cousin. My little sister was 4 years younger than me, but at the time she's not like, she's probably like 5, so she didn't really know what's going on. But we'd have her do stuff, and we'd just do like funny things and send it over to them. So I feel like there's always a part of me that wanted to be like, I want to perform. I want to like do something. I just don't necessarily know what, you know, I didn't know what it meant to me yet.
Yeah.
But that's like the earliest thing I could think of doing. If my grandmother probably has those tapes, and I would probably just die of embarrassment. But
it would be awesome though, wouldn't it, to see that? Right.
I'd be like, oh, but yeah, I would probably be laughing though. I'd be like, oh, these kids were having fun though. Like the stuff that
producing a whole news show.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, those cameras were so big. And I remember my grandmother would always have that camera, and she recorded everything of us, but it just cracked me up because she was probably only 5'2", or she is only 5'2", but she's just that camera's as big as her and just carrying it around, capturing everything. And then like when you had first said it, I thought you were going to ask maybe something like when we were younger that we did that was from our Filipino culture. Do you remember the game that you like? There was a board game where you throw the balls. Is it Mancala? Or
Sunka.
What is it?
Sunka?
Maybe
Sunka was the one with the beans. It was like, isn't Mancala the one?
I think I'm thinking of.
And yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't remember the name.
Yeah. It had like the bowls, and you drop the beans.
Yeah. I don't know if that was I think I grew up thinking that was a Filipino game. I don't know if that was, but I remember doing that. And I vaguely remember something with beans, but I think I was like, didn't take to it or didn't want to play it because I always wanted to play the other thing.
Yeah.
but yeah, it was
Tininkling was my jam. I don't know if y'all did Tininkling, like, you know, the sticks, the bamboo, kind of like jump rope, where you like tap, 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 and you're like dancing. Because I was a dancer as a kid, like wanting to break dance and be like a Jackson, right? So yeah.
I love that you brought up Tininkling. I just moved, and my mom had given me it's like one of those wood carving pictures of people doing the stick, doing the Tininkling. And it was like it was a gift from my auntie Keiko, who had collected it in her travels because they were in the Navy. And then my mom got it when they moved out of their house. And then she was like, oh, this came from Auntie Keiko. You need to hang this in your home. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll put it next to my spoon and fork. And I just found it from moving. And I held it up and I was like, oh, Taninkly. And I was like, I love this. This is so sweet. I didn't know you used to do that, Patrick. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. I was a dancer. I was a dancer before I was an actor. I was a dancer before I was an actor.
That's right. That's right. I did know that.
So, Andrea, so, all right, cool. Now we're in school and you know who you are. We've kind of crossed that path. But in school is where we actually get professional, we get our education. We learn a little bit more about the world. What did you want? What was like a favorite subject, or what did you like gravitate to when you are now becoming more of an adult? Because that's what happens with schooling. We learn about the world and everything.
Yeah, I actually went to college and have a degree in political science.
Oh, wow. You went all the way through, because there's a big question we have when you graduate from high school, which I think you satisfied your parents because...
I was just going to say. I love, my mom is she's always been supportive, because I feel like I grew up with supportive parents, and because I have my stepdad too, but my mom, she's always been supportive enough for me to feel like that I could do this. She might also be like, hey, you need to be a doctor. Like, of course, growing up, you need to be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer.
Exactly.
I want that for you.
Yes. And that's what I did. I'm also like sociology, political science. Like,
go ahead, Andrea. I love it. Okay.
It's just funny because I look back like, oh, I did do that.
But was that what you wanted to do though? So like, remember, so at that crossroads where you are choosing when you're graduating high school, what was the route you wanted to do, or did it mirror your parents?
I think it was, and then, this isn't in a mean way, but I think it was more my parents and me just not having, and I always say this, I didn't have any like personal direction. Like I knew I wanted to perform or act, but I didn't necessarily like do it in high school, and I didn't in college. I didn't necessarily like pursue. I just kept thinking like, well, I don't know if I should do that. Just growing up so much thinking like, well, if you're not going to make any money, first of all, that's what I grew up like, you're not going to have any money, you're going to be struggling. I'm like, well, I don't want to do those things.
Right.
But so I was like, okay, I'm good at technically academic stuff, like enough to where like I passed, I'd get awards, and I, went to college and got certain things paid for, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do deep down. Yeah. And again, I'm not blaming, like my mom and my stepdad were not like evil parents, but it was definitely more of like, I also didn't have any, direction. I didn't know. I was like, well, okay, whatever. Kind of like someone told me this is what I should do. Let me do it.
Oh yeah.
And then when I got to college, when I was graduating, I was like, you know what? I just started having epiphanies of like, I'm not necessarily happy. Like, this is cool, but like, what am I doing? Like, the stuff I'm doing right now is I don't necessarily like it just because I'm good at it. And, like it was just kind of, it comes easy in a way, but it was like nothing that I really, not saying I didn't work hard. Like I had to get good grades, but nothing that I was like, well, this is wonderful. This makes me happy. And I just started being like, well, I need to just live my life. And I started, I guess, having some weird, like FOMO at that age of like, what if like I'm on this wrong path? Like this realization of like, what if I'm on this thing? And it was just some weird awakening. And then I guess I'll just fast forward into it, but I was my senior year. Yeah. And like I had an internship at a school doing stuff in technology for a school, but I got this random email to be an extra in New Orleans in the movie Now You See Me. And I don't know how that even, I don't know. Like I try to go back in my brain. Did I sign up for? No, I didn't. I don't know what email, how it got there, how I got it in order for me to receive it. But then it was my spring break of that year. And I said, that's what I'm going to do for my spring break. I'm going to go to New Orleans and be an extra. I was like, whatever. I don't, I've done like the stupid other stuff, all the beach stuff with all the friends. I was like, let me just see. Why? I don't know. This sounds fun. Then I get down there. And then the main thing from that was I find out New Orleans is this hub. This was back in 2013, 2014. Yeah, something like that.
It was starting to like take off. I think Brad Pitt had like a studio down there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff happening at that time.
Yeah, it was. It was nuts. It was right. I think when they were becoming like the biggest, and then they had their stuff shift, but it wasn't that bad. Yeah. But that was like, I found out it was New Orleans. So as soon as I finished my internship, and then I was in Oxford, Mississippi, I was like, I'm gonna move to New Orleans. So I moved to New Orleans after that, and I was like, I'm gonna pursue acting. I'm gonna find out how to do this and what to do, and it just kind of took off from there. Like I started. I did background work to learn and to be like,
I think it's the best thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And like, just sit back and you watch how set works and you can see how, you learn all these other little things. So I did that for like a few months, and then I jumped into classes there, and then I, got an agent and all these things. And it just kind of one after the other, I just kept trying things and was like, this is working. This is working. And then mainly just had to be in classes since I was in my head, just so far behind because I didn't grow up in acting. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't go to a creative arts school. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, I got to be in classes to step up. And then, now I'm 7-8 years later here. So it's like back and forth is just, back and forth when I say that is New Orleans and Atlanta. And then I did go to LA in the beginning of 2020, but then COVID hit and I freaked out and was like, well, I don't necessarily know if I want to live here. By myself. So I moved like back to Atlanta, and I was like, let me just see what happens. I was like, I can always go back in 2 or 3 months. I was like, but I don't want to be too far away if I can't get home.
Yeah.
And Atlanta's now a hub now, as I'm sure you know. It's building and growing. I have so many other actor friends that transition there and also go between LA and Atlanta. Although they shouldn't, because you're supposed to, I'm sure you've seen Atlanta based only, but hey, people still make that happen.
I know, because I'll roll my eyes too, but then if it went in my favor, I'll be like, who cares? Like I'm not gonna lie to you. I'd probably be like, you know what? I just won't even say anything.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were talking about self-tape earlier, I mean, it's easy now. Like I have so many since COVID did happen, which I think is obviously its own thing, but looking on the bright side for me was it did open up to like, I have never had so many like opportunities out in LA than I have in the past 2 years. So, now I'm just trying to like get my foot in the door over there, hopefully book a series regular or something, big. Yeah. But so it's like, and I can do that from the comfort of the house or the apartment, and it's nice. And I can just like not necessarily have to fly out and fly back at the moment. So I do like that part of it. When you were talking about self-tapes, it's like, I do love the convenience of like, well, let me just walk right in there. And
right. We've all become professional filmmakers ourselves in a way, like, about the right equipment, lighting, all of that. It's now become a thing, which has been beautiful. You got to take the positives, especially right now.
I know.
So what are so getting into the field? So you transitioned, you went to school, you made your parents happy. Now you're acting. What are some of the important life lessons or something you would tell young you, if you could, and or people watching this that are wanting to do what you're doing? What are some, if you can think of some of the most important lessons you've learned along the way?
Definitely being yourself. Or like, I would just like be you, because there was so many times where I thought that, if I, speak better, if I lose the Southern, or if I do have the Southern, like, it's just like, be you, stick to you, obviously work hard. You can't just say, this is going to happen and do nothing about it. Like, not be in classes and not do, like, I'm a big manifester, but you could say all day, like, oh, I'm going to make money. Yeah. But what are you doing to make that money? That's it. That's all you got to do. So it's like putting the action behind the manifesting, but mainly being ourselves. And this is a weird one. Yeah.
We attract money. We don't make money.
And also that it's okay to say no. Like, it's okay to say no, because I wish there were times where it's like I stuck up for myself and had said, no, I don't want to do that, or no, can we talk about that, or no, this makes me uncomfortable, and it's not like anyone forced me, but it was more of just me when I look back at moments where it was like, you could have just said no. Like, it's like, you could just say no. And we forget that, especially in this industry. It's like, oh yeah, I'll take this gig and I'll get only this pay, when sometimes there are times when you do have to like just put your head down and work and take some gigs to get the experience. But then there are times where it's like, no, you are worth something, and it's okay to be like, no, I want this, or no, I don't want to do that. And I'm not comfortable saying that, or I'm not comfortable doing that. That I did. That would probably be another main thing, is like, it's okay to say no. You can say it respectfully, of course.
Yes.
But it's totally fine to say no. And it's not going to like make or break you if you turn something down.
Completely agree, 110%. Because when you feel like you're small fish in a big ass pond, and so you feel like you have to do everything to appease the people that control all of this world that we want to break into. And I feel you on that 110%. So what is it about the craft of acting that you love? What made you, get that bite, like, so you were on Now You See Me, and then that led into, moving to New Orleans and doing the work there. Anything that you found difficult? Is it easy for you to read a script? Do you enjoy studying the character to get into a role? Just tell me some elements about this thing that we love.
So I love that you asked the question. It's such a fun thing because I find more and more things I love about it. But I think the first thing that I always think about is like just the ability to like be someone else. And technically when I say that too, I've learned that I'm really just me in that situation. Like really, it's just like, that's what usually works, or books is like, honestly, it's just you in this situation, like what you bring and how you talk and how you think, how you perceive things. So that's probably my favorite thing, is I think I'm someone else when really it's just me in this situation. And the fact that it's not the same day every day, I do love that. Like, and to collaborate with, like, it's not just a one person thing. It's like, I'm part of this big project with all these people. And it's not just, like, to me, it's like being a part of this huge thing with all these other people that want to be here. Like, I love that vibe and that feeling. Like, like when we're all rooting for
your set family, your set family that you build. It's the most beautiful thing. Yeah.
And then, just storytelling. Like, I'm not necessarily the best sometimes when I tell a story because I go here. But I love it when someone else has organized it and then I can like bring it to life, like in a cool way, and just the way, because to me, there's no like right or wrong way in acting, right? There's just things that work and that don't work, I think, because how I would read a script and interpret it is different from how you would, and how you would play the character is different how I would. Doesn't mean anyone's right or wrong, but it's like, oh, that worked, and that's great, or that's great. Like, I like that, like bringing something to life that was not there. Like, we were just reading it and now you put it into a person and they're saying it. And that whole part is really cool to me. Like, kind of surreal sometimes when I am on a set. Like, oh, wow. I'm this wedding planner today. I've never planned a wedding in my life, but it's like, okay. Or, I'm, getting stabbed or something and I've never been stabbed. So,
is there a particular role that you're just dying for, that you're seeking, that you're aspiring for, or a property that you want to be a part of? Like, do you want to be in the Star Wars universe or part of Marvel, anything like that?
Marvel is definitely on the list. Like, I want so bad. There was a really cool one before the holidays. Obviously, I didn't hear anything back on it, but I was just like, man, I love this. If this happened, but whatever's mine will be mine. Just like whatever's yours, whatever's yours will be yours.
Yes.
It will not pass us up. But I don't know if you guys ever watched, oh my God, it's escaping me. But I love the badass woman role. Like, I want anything like that. Like, I want anything kind of like powerful. I kind of want a dark one. I also want to be a superhero or supervillain.
Yeah.
Something obviously in that realm, but it's like something like powerful women, but it's very like complex. I just want like a good story, because it is still hard for women, especially minority women, because there's not obviously a lot of us. I mean, there are a lot of people writing and things, but the ones that are getting, produced and a lot of people are still coming in.
Yes.
I think in the next, over the next 10 years, it's going to be beautiful and amazing. But right now with like unless I write it, which is also a thing I'm trying to.
Hey, there we go. I love that. That's the energy we need.
Right. Like we have to, if I'm going to have a story told, it's like, well, we got to write it. So I don't know if it'll be where they think, but we'll see. But yeah, it's like, and until then, we have to kind of create our own things, but I do think that it will get better. And I would love to be a part of just this minority woman, just strong role, going through crazy things. It'd be nice to see like kind of in our 30s to 40s.
Yeah.
Like, because it's easy to watch the young love and the young life, right? Like Euphoria is great. It's wonderful, but I'm not that age anymore. It's like, sometimes I would like to see like 30s, like some real shit, like things that'll stick for a while and like a really good story. It's hard to find, and it's hard to write. So I mean,
just realized I could see you in Queen of the South. Are you familiar with that show?
That's the show that just escaped me. That is the one.
Andrea, you would be perfect for that. Producers, hit her up.
Right?
There's a lot of producers that watch this. I want y'all to hit up Andrea Andrade. Yo, she'd be perfect.
Reconsider.
That is exactly, because I was like, that's escaping me. But I was like, the badass woman, she is amazing. That was so fun. That was a great show to watch too. Like, that was so cool to see her and like actual good story. And it was not just, some girlfriend of the guy and the whatever, and like to the side, she was the main, going through like what I would call guy shit, but which is sad that we would say that, right? That it's like going
it's real talk. Yeah.
But it's like, that's what at the time was like, finally, there's something like, it's not just like a girl being someone's girlfriend or someone's wife of the show. She is the show. Yes. So that kind of, that would be amazing. I'd love that. So
hell yeah. I'm gonna manifest that. Y'all, producer friends watching this right now. Make that happen. Could you would you be down for like are you familiar with John Wick? Everybody knows John Wick, right?
Yeah.
You saw like the training he went through to become John Wick. Would you be interested to go through stuff like where you handle weapons and do all that? Because you said badass. Let me see you go through that, Andrea.
I would love to do it. I have a bow and arrow in my room.
Hey.
That would be fun too. Like I would love to. I'm not the best at it. I'm still like practicing and learning, but and I love, like, again, I'm not good at it either, but axe throwing, just stuff like it's so fun. Like that's just like fun. I like to shoot guns in an appropriate environment. Not gonna lie, I do like that. Not at things, not at animals, but
that's the southern.
It'd be cool to be a badass cop, things like that. So I would love to do, especially if someone has a training lined out for me. Oh my God, I'll just show up. Let's go to work. That's it.
Yes. I love it. I love it. All right. So, man, I love this. I love your vibe, homie. And you're still building. So, thank you. So
I have a question.
Go ahead. Yeah, Tina, please. I was waiting for you to throw some at her too.
Yeah. Well, going to acting, I have so many awesome gems here. I think that you said some beautiful things just about the craft of acting, but like, I'm stuck on like, what's it like just picking up and moving to a new city to just pursue acting? Like you kind of dropped that on us. You were just kind of like, yeah. So then I just moved to New Orleans to pursue acting. And then, I went to LA, to pursue acting. I came back, but like I went there and I'm like, you went to New Orleans and then you just went to LA? Like what was that? What was that like? Like, what was that decision like for you? And how did you make it work?
Thank you. That's a really great question, because I've never thought of it that way, because I'm just so used to doing it. But so the timeline too was I moved from Oxford to New Orleans, to start acting. And then I was in New Orleans till about 2018. So I was there for about 7 years or 6, 7 years. And then I moved to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to LA, and then LA back to Atlanta. That's what happened. But thankfully, like I had a friend in LA though that helped me. So that was a lot easier. That was kind of more just like, all right, let me stay with you until I find a spot that I can, because LA rent is nuts.
Yeah. I'm like,
California. Yeah. Crazy. But, and obviously that probably wasn't meant to happen for COVID to hit and all that timing. I was like, okay, this just isn't the time. And it's okay. But when
I from the universe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But when I first moved to New Orleans, I guess I'm used to I can easily adapt. I feel like that's like a thing that I've learned. I don't know, or maybe a skill I've had, but easily adapt is like, okay, I look forward to like exploring a place and finding new friends and blah, blah, blah. Cause I guess I always think like, well, home is home. So it's like, oh, if this sucked, I know I have my family. I know I have this. So I guess it's like a safety net in my head that makes it a little easier for me, at least for me. But also it was like, I get excited about new adventures. Like it's genuinely the excitement of like, well, how am I going to do this? And then in my head, it's like, I keep track of like, oh, found my place. Like, that's awesome. You know, oh, made my first check from acting. Check. Like these things, like they're like little things that I knock off in my head. Like, all right, I'm going to do this. But don't get me wrong, there's been obviously tons of obstacles, but I don't know, it's just been like exciting. It's more exciting and it's more like, it's more fun than it is stressful for sure. Because if it was stressful, I wouldn't do it. And you hear the dog. She's sorry, she's literally playing with herself. But yeah, like I guess it was easy for me. For the most part, I mean, minus logistics of actual physically moving. But I think Atlanta was probably actually moving from New Orleans to Atlanta was the hardest because I love New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And I did, like put 7 years of my life and like made my own friends and it was more like the friends having to leave my friends and a place that I knew like, oh, I'm a regular at this bar here or this restaurant, or I know the best places to eat, or I love going there every weekend, or the festivals, and the fun stuff was hard to leave. It was very
imagine.
But it was funny with that because in New Orleans, I actually, from Atlanta, I didn't know where I was going to live in Atlanta. Didn't know what I was going to do with the things in New Orleans. So I just got rid of everything. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on Craigslist and buy a bunch. Yeah, I got rid of everything. So I was like, well, I just need, it's like, I just need me, my laptop, and my dog, and my phone. So I was like, I'm good. And, yeah.
I'm telling you, having just moved.
Literally.
That is so like refreshing. I'm looking at like mountains of stuff and I'm like, it'd be so much easier if I could just get rid of everything.
I know. It was like, wow, I have nothing technically besides, physical, like literally phone, dog. That's about it. But but it's like these things are so replaceable. And I looked up and like found literally everything in the Atlanta apartment for super cheap. Was like, it still works. It's all great. Yeah. And then when I obviously got some income, I replaced things. But
that's awesome though. I love that like adventure of it. And like besides going away to college, like I've lived in the same spot. And I love it. I live in Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I love it. I love it here. And I'm always like, yeah, I'm totally down to go just make a life in another city. And then I think of all my friends and I think of my family. And then I look at my mountain of stuff. And I'm like, ugh, I move that. But like, so when you were like, yeah, just getting up and moving. And I'm like, oh, I love that. I love that.
Well, thank you. Cause I just don't ever think of it just because I guess like that's one of the things was like, okay, new adventure or whatever. And it's mainly, and also in my head, all of it's a means to an end, right? For me, it's like, it's for acting, it's for acting. So it's like that pushes me. And I feel like that the hardworking part that comes from being Filipino 100%, like my mother is like, whatever you're going to do, you're going all in. I was like, okay, you are right. Like I've learned like and sometimes she'd, call me and be like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm going all in, woman, So she told me, I was like, I got rid of everything in the apartment. And she's like, no. I'm like, yep.
Are you eating? Like,
yeah, exactly. She really was. She's like, do you need money? I was like, no. But no, I'm good. I'll figure it out. No, all jokes, but yeah, like that's it. Acting made it easier though, because it's like when you're but when it's like, all right, I got to do this at least to figure out how I'm going to make my next step. If this doesn't work, I'll just go back. If this, so like knowing that I want to be an actor, and like being an actor is like, okay, this is the goal. That makes it a lot easier too, you know, just being like, okay, figure it out.
Wonderful. Well, Patrick, are we ready for
almost okay. I wanted to make sure you got in there because didn't feel like you got your questions in. I love this. So with the acting, and I almost forgot, like, we didn't go back to that transition with you getting into acting. The mom and dad your mom co-signed, which you do. You have their blessing, if you will.
Yes.
They're supportive of what you now doing, because that is a factor, you know, and or at least we feel that we need to have that. But, you know, for yourself, you have to chase your dreams, or else, you know, why? This is life. What is life for us? Role wise, in regards to, you know, as being a Filipino, a mix with you Mexican, and I think we spoke about roles we want to have, but what does it mean to you as being that, you know, you look how you look or whatever, although, you know, we're humans, but what do you think of the world seeing you in like that role, and as a Filipino community, being that representation, you know, does it matter to you? Have you ever felt or been in a stereotypical role? I've discussed this because I've been there, and I've had to do a role that I wish and you kind of said this earlier, like you wish you said no to certain things. And I was in situations that, damn it, I wish I would have said no, instead of playing to that, because I felt, you know, I'm a young kid in this business. I want to stay in this business. So I'll give you more of an Asian accent when I'm already Asian enough. Like, you know, have you ever been in that type of situation, and being that representation, and how does that matter to you in regards to portrayals that you get?
Yeah, it matters a lot to me, because I do want to represent not only just being Filipino, but a Filipino woman. Just first of all, just women in general, you know, of course, women, like all of it, but and Filipino too, because it is important to me, because there's not, my brain's going faster, but not that we're the only, you know, race or anything, but it's just another unrepresented population, and there's so many Filipino Americans that it's just, there's not many stories, and I want to be a part of that, you know, or at least want to be a part of that she did it, you know, because when I look at other women, when you were saying like Queen of the South, when I saw Alicia Braga? I don't know if I'm saying her name, but the main actress. I saw her, it was nice to be like, wow, that is a brown woman in a powerful role. Like you normally see, you know, like as a woman, I've gotten bartender and waitress, which is fine. Like those are fun roles, but then it's like, but you do see more of like, you get minorities. If the whole cast is white, you see, oh, let me throw in, you know, a brown, black, Asian, you know, Spanish, whatever, in there just because they need it or something, just because they want to be diverse. I want to be part of like the new generation of like, this is normal. It's not here just because, it's just actually normal. Like in a big city, of course, you're going to have diversity. And it's like, I want to be a part of that change, and that it's not like, and the fact that to me, it's, you know, it's not even about like, how am I trying to say? It's not just about just being different either, just to have different. Like, I want it to just be normal. Like, it's a normal thing to see a woman. I don't necessarily want it to be surprising anymore that you see that lady and that guy. Like, I want it to be just normal. And I want to be a part of that, because like when you were saying earlier, all the people that came before us, I'm riding on their coattails, and I just want to make it better for the next generation and for myself. And, you know, hopefully if I have kids, I want them to look at screens too and just be like, wow, like this is, you know, they look like me. Or like the little girl in Encanto. Have you seen that yet?
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, the little girl that went viral with her glasses. She's like, that's me. I was like, that's what I want, you know, like, because we're so prevalent. And I say that as in like minorities or whatever. We're prevalent way more than we are on screen. Like in real life is like, this is normal. It's not weird to see this to me, you know, unless of course I'm in some very like small place in like Montana, where they are just like a bunch of white people. I understand where you might be a little bit like, okay, but that's very like, that's not what we like encounter every day. So it's like, I want to see all of this, what we actually like in big cities. It's normal to be different. Like, and I just keep going back to like, I don't want it to just be like, oh, because we need, a minority. We need this. I just want it to be because this is, if that makes any sense.
Oh, completely.
Sorry, I go everywhere. I get real passionate and then I'm like, okay, but.
Oh no, trust. That's if you know me and we talk all the time, that's your boy right here. That's what I'm all about. And that's why we do this show, to just talk about the different facets of us as a people and as a culture. And there's a lot of us that really assimilated and forgot about ourselves. And that's what me and Tina also are doing, because as mixed kids, like I said, you're part of our mixed kid mafia, is like, not all of us grew straight up Filipino or knowing the culture. And through this, people are discovering that, and we're discovering about ourselves. It's a sad thing, but it's we're going to change that now. That's why we're here having this conversation, to just build and change for the future.
Celebrate.
Yes.
Explore and celebrate.
Yeah.
And now, because we are all nerds and nerds rule the world, our final question for you is always our nerd check. And the nerd check, don't get nervous. It's just, we ask you, what's something that you're just really nerdy about? It doesn't have to be anything
stereotypical. Like, you can be nerdy about the news
or traditional. Yeah, we've had people nerdy about fashion brands, people nerdy about stocks, people nerdy about forms of speech. It's variety. So what are you super nerdy about? What are you currently into? What can you give a TED Talk about?
I am super nerdy about, and this might be cliche, but at the moment, again, I'm very super nerdy about Harry Potter. We actually, me and a group of friends here are actually on our third. We're hosting like marathons every like 2 or 3 weeks, and we dress up for them or something. Like our first one, we were just in Harry Potter onesies. Our second one, we just did like dinner, and it was they actually had a boozy cauldron event going on in Atlanta that was like Wizards. So we went to that after. And then we'll have the third movie coming up where we're going to dress as characters. So it's like just a stupid little, which I love. And it's not even stupid, but I love it. Anything to dress up though. I am a nerd for like costumes. Like I'm not necessarily always, maybe as detailed as some people, but if you're like, we got to dress up in something, I love it. I want to do it. Like there are times when I'm better. And Mardi Gras is coming up in New Orleans. So my birthday and Mardi Gras fall on the same day this year.
Oh my God.
I know.
Going, right?
I don't know if you've ever done I love Mardi Gras, but so we're doing a costume themed group, but we're going to dress as the Rugrats.
Oh my God.
And
I'm going to peep that Instagram. You better post that.
Oh, I'm gonna, because you know why? I'm gonna be Tommy. I'm in a bald cap, and I'm gonna wear an adult diaper. I'm doing the whole thing. So and then I'm having my boyfriend be the dad stew, so that when
my God.
So when I'm a little, having a lot of fun on my birthday, a little too much bottled juice or whatever, too much milk. He can just pick me up like Tommy, and I can just waddle around. It's gonna be wonderful.
There you go.
I love
anything like that. I'm a nerd on that. I mean, there's probably a lot of things I just can't think at the moment, but
what house are you?
You're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to Dragon Con?
I was gonna ask that too. Yeah.
Have you been there? But I want to so bad.
Oh my gosh.
I actually worked one when I lived in New Orleans, as a side job. I worked as do you remember that movie with it was called Lucy with oh my God, from Marvel, Black Widow.
ScarJo.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. She was, do you remember that movie? It was so me and another girl, we worked for, I guess I I don't know if it was like the actual movie or whatever, but we were at the booths and stuff and we were dressed as a Lucy character. Yeah. And it was fun to like be a part of that. Cause I was like, wow, so many people nerd out. I was like, why would I not know about this in life?
Oh my gosh.
Yo, we got to break her in, Tina, because we got the connects down there. We know the people.
Because like conventions are one thing. Dragon Con is a convention, but it's like
party con.
Nerd Mardi Gras.
Like nerd Mardi Gras, for real.
I haven't been to the Atlanta one.
Oh my gosh. Like I met my husband at Dragon Con. Like that's
I love that.
That is like mecca for the nerds. And it's like we're partying in like our underwear. We're running around Peachtree Center. Like it's people are dressed, it's like 5 days straight over Labor Day weekend of like people change costumes 3 or 4 times a day and they're running around and it's, oh my God, you would have a heyday.
Oh yeah.
I do have to go. It's on the list to do. Oh my, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I absolutely. We were supposed to go back in 2020 and then the pandemic and I'm like, I'm gonna wait.
yeah, because
when we come back at Dragon Con, it's lit.
Yeah, we'll have to send you hit you up, Andrea.
Yeah, come please through.
Do.
I wanted to go back to Harry Potter before we leave out. I know we're like right at the end, but because you brought up Harry Potter and what is the house you're a part of? Do you know what house you're part of?
I'm a part of Hogwarts, but sometimes I think I'm a little Slytherin. Sometimes.
That's awesome.
I love it. Okay, just because I know the fans would be like, "Yo, you didn't ask the class or what house she's a part of," so I had to put that in there for the nerds because that's what we are. We're nerds.
Yeah, I love it. We're just silly because we've seen the movie so many. It's just one of those things like.
Yo, would you be down for the Fantastic Beasts? Because that's like the new films that they're doing. If you ever get mixed up with that.
I do like it. I need to rewatch the last 2. I've seen the other 2, but I haven't. Is the new one coming out this year?
I think so. It got pushed into this.
Yeah. That's another thing is like everything's been pushed back. So it's like, okay, but yeah. And I am waiting. Speaking of just like nerd stuff, I can't wait to see the new Doctor Strange too. Cause I want to see what's up with WandaVision. Yeah. I was like, Wanda, let me see. I love Doctor Strange, but that Wanda story left me like, okay. I need to know more now.
Yes, I love it. Andrea in the house, full-blown nerd with your boy, Kuya P, Viva Valentina, ShoPowSho. Andrea, before we leave out, how can our fans become your fans and follow you? Any socials you want us to give out that we can put in the description below as well and on the screen for y'all? Follow Miss Andrea Andrade.
If you want to, which I'd love for you to. But it's all silly and fun, and I like to be motivational, try to be. My Instagram is the Andrea Andrade. And then I'm just now on the TikTok, like really playing with it. So feel free to follow me, make it like the 5th follower. It's the Andrea Andrade 1 on there.
Go. Yeah. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for your time. This was truly a pleasure. I'm so happy to see you again. Happy to talk to you again. And please come back through with anything else. You're part of our ShoPowSho family. We want to give you that love and light and that positive energy and those vibes to keep building and following what your dreams, Thank
you. And same to you both. Like, thank you for having me and thanks for hanging out. It was so fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Boom. There you go. Andrea Andrade. Yes. Wonderful person. Amazing actor, young, vibrant talent who's going to kill it further in the industry. And you love to see it. Follow your dreams. You know what I'm saying? Do what you want to do with life.
Man, and she had some beautiful things to say about acting and just the craft of acting. I think I wrote every single point down. You asked me, you're like, what do you love about acting? She's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, just the storytelling aspect. Of course, it's gorgeous. Just being able to be herself as someone else. I even wrote next to it, like cosplay, which was funny because later we talked about cosplay. Yeah. But that was always like a really cool thing about that. And how you get to do something different every single day. And I love that there is no right or wrong. There's just things that work and don't work. And I'm like, oh, is that not true in many ways?
Yeah.
In many things. It's not right or wrong.
Yeah.
It works or doesn't.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. I felt like a lot of beats of her story kind of resonated with me.
Oh yeah.
How she went to college and got a degree in poli-sci. It's very similar to the degree that that I studied in school and that I got. But like the feeling of, well, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I do know I'm going to college, or that I'm expected to go to college.
Yeah.
And looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of the same feeling that I had. And, you know, I ended up where I needed to be, but like, it's just kind of that feeling of, well, go to college, maybe be a doctor, maybe be a lawyer, maybe be an accountant, do something. So I felt that. And then I was just so moved and inspired that she was just like, yeah. And then I moved to New Orleans to pursue acting, and she made it. And it was just so wonderful. Like, I love that the bravery is really like the feeling it. It was just really brave of her to do that. And just manifesting everything that you need. Big believer in that as well.
Yeah, completely agree. That's just amazing, because I think the key word you said, you have to be brave enough to do that.
Yes.
You know, that is so inspiring and just so relatable that people are going to watch this and see this, and that might be going through this right now or have gone through it, and be like, yeah, like you said for yourself, you know, you kind of figure out your path, and you can see, okay, I'm not alone in that. I did the same thing. That's amazing. And I love that energy where I don't know if it was the New Orleans move, and you had asked that question to then go to Atlanta, but like selling everything.
Oh yeah.
Right. And just, you know, all I need is my dog and my computer, and that's all I need. And I'm good with it, because, you know, there's so much more that's going to be life. And, you know, I felt that to my soul, because I think we've discussed this since last year as we've been doing the ShoPowSho. Like, all of this behind me, like, I've collected, because you and I both do conventions and shows. I've collected a lot of stuff, but
same.
It's just stuff now. Like, I actually want all of that to go behind me. Like, I want to put up some original artwork that I've received over the years and collected, and friends that I've met in this industry that I'd rather showcase than these toys. These toys can go with other people. You know, I loved it at once. You know, I still dig it, but it's just
say less, Patrick. Just box them up and send them to me. I'm here for you, and I'll help you with that.
I feel you. I'm actually working on that. I have people that I'm gonna try and sell some of this stuff, and you know,
awesome.
but yeah, it's just possessions. I want experiences. Yeah. You know.
Well, but then it's also what you're speaking on is that, like, the possessions then fill a space inside of you that can be taken up by something else.
Yes.
And her being so brave, it calls back to the other lessons that she learned throughout that process. And it's so funny, because I wrote them like right underneath, moved to New Orleans, so brave. That when you free yourself from that, you're able to be yourself, and to be brave, to be yourself, and to be okay with saying no when you need to. And like, it all just kind of like comes together in that. And the real moral of the story is just get rid of all your stuff. Just all your things.
I love that energy.
Like, man, yeah. No, that's such a good idea. Again, disclaimer, everyone, I just moved, so I hate my stuff right now.
Yes. Ah, man, but those words hit. And that was so beautiful. Andrea Andrade, if you're watching this now, this playback, salamat po, mahal kita. Thank you so much for coming through, sharing your life, your experience, your wisdom. And we'd love to have you back again to continue telling your story, because I know you're still writing it. And we thank you for just giving us this snapshot right now. Tina, love you. How
Love
can
you.
the people reach out to you and everything you're doing? And yeah.
Check me out on Instagram and TikTok. You can find me at viva.valentina, and check out all the work I'm doing with my stuffies. I'm also on Twitter and chess.com at Viva Valentina XO.
All right, Miss Viva Valentina, love you, mahal kita. And also to our other amazing ate, we're still going to show you love, even though you can't be here, but we know you're handling business. And I know you want to be here. So we know that, but when we can make that all work, we'll make it work. But shout out to Kataphorric. And is it Kataphorric on everything?
Kataphorric on everything.
There we go. And it's on the screen right now, so you can see that. There's our handles. Give everybody the love, follow, subscribe, all of that. And for me, it's the legend Kuya P on Twitter, TikTok, and IG. And of course, ShoPowSho with Tina and Kat. And of course, also at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Mahal kita, salamat. We're out of here. Bop, 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 bop. Peace, y'all. There we go.
Hey, I'm Andrea Andrade, and check me out on the ShoPowSho. Hi, my name is Andrea Andrade, and my Filipino heritage is important to me because I want to represent our community and all the people. And also it represents to me hard work, motivation, resilience, and making the generation after us better.